Welcome to Business Talks with your host, Kent Adams. Join Kent now as he sits down with business and community leaders to discuss a wide range of important topics in business. Business Talks is brought to you in part by STCU. Now, here's Kent.
Well, welcome to a special edition of Business Talks. And I say special because every so often we get to have some news characters. Am I allowed to say that? He's laughing. Okay, so far so good. Peter Maxwell, perhaps you've seen him a few times on KHQ. And right now his hours are in the evening. You have to stay up later than I do, don't you?
Sometimes. I do sometimes stay up till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you know what's even crazier?
Are you passing Sean at the station when you're leaving? He's coming
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens. But, you know, the crazy thing is, even when news breaks late, usually our morning photographers and reporters come in around 2:30, 3:30 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. I'll just go. Like the officer involved shooting up on the South Hill back in August.
Yes.
I just got back into my work clothes and just went right for it because it was a big story.
Yes.
And, you know, news never sleeps. And you just have to sometimes just
and it often comes when you least expect it.
It does.
Too. I mean, there are things like, as we do this today, the impeachment thing going on in the Senate back east. So there are things you know about, but there are other things you and I don't know that could be happening right now.
Right.
That when you get to the station in another hour or so, you're going to be out on that story too.
Exactly. Well, that's why I still have both my phones with me just in case something does happen.
Well, let's go back, Peter. Let's go back to where you grew up and your education, where you went to college, and then we'll get into how you reached and got to KHQ of all places in Spokane, Washington, right?
Spokane. You know, that's pretty funny that you said that because when I flew here initially for my interview, the flight attendants were New York based, and they're like, "Welcome to Spokane, Washington," and everyone on the plane when we landed was like, "It's Spokane." Yeah. So it was kind of funny, but I mean, I've known about Spokane for quite a while.
Okay.
One of my friends that I went to boarding school with, he played basketball. He played actually for Gonzaga.
Oh, okay.
Gerard Coleman. But
I've heard of them.
Then he left, and then he left. He went to go to Providence, back east. But growing up, I grew up in a small town outside of Detroit in the eastern burbs called Grosse Pointe.
Okay.
Grew up there through my entire life. And then I went to boarding school in my junior year for athletics.
So they didn't trust you enough? They had to put you in boarding school?
Exactly. But, you know, a lot of people think boarding school, especially the teenagers, think it's a prison away from home. No, it's actually, you know what? It's some of my best friends still to this day.
Oh, sure.
I met through boarding
That's
school.
Your family there.
It is, exactly.
Yes.
Had a lot of fun there. And then I went to Lake Forest College, north of Chicago, for a year. They didn't have the broadcast programs.
And you had determined that's what you wanted to do by then?
Since high school.
Oh, okay.
Even before that, I've always have had a fascination with television.
Yeah.
With
you're watching and you say, I can do that.
I can do that. And a lot of people was like, wow, you're good at that. You should keep going. And I was like, okay, well maybe I will. So I went to Grosse Pointe South High School for 3 years, and during that time I got really involved in the television production aspect. Okay. And there was only 5 levels of TV, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the higher you went, the more you did. Yeah. I mean, I got into TV8. TV8 never existed. That's how much I loved doing what I did. You really
absorbed it, didn't you?
I really did.
Yeah.
And I love the technology aspect. I love the whole aspect of just getting to know people and getting to talk to people like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So going a little fast forward, went to Lake Forest College for a little bit. Didn't have the broadcast programs that I wanted. Another school back east was Curry College, and I went to Curry College for 4 years. So I did a 5-year plan.
Okay.
Not a lot of people are doing a 5-year plan. So parents, I mean, if your kids are doing a 5-year plan, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah. Look how you've turned out.
Exactly. Some people take a little bit longer to bloom.
Yeah.
But Curry had a really good and solid radio and television program.
That makes the difference.
And it does. Yeah. And so got into that and then started getting internships. And my internships brought me to, actually this is kind of a great story to tell. So I wasn't getting any bites, wasn't getting anywhere, and the one thing that I wanted was an internship in New York City.
Oh, boy.
And so
Start at the big shop.
So threw on my Joseph A. Banks suit, got up to the Upper East Side to ABC News, dropped off resumes there, made my way down to NBC and watched a little bit of the Today Show. And I had already applied for an internship at NBC Universal to be a summer intern, but no one was getting back to me.
Yeah.
No one was.
Well,
getting
they
back
get
to
a
me.
few
They
requests.
They get a few hundred requests, thousands of requests.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, using the power of social media, LinkedIn, I tracked down the internship coordinator and finally got in touch with her. And so, showed up to 30 Rock, watched a little bit of the Today Show. I'm walking into the main doors, and guy's like, "Let me hold that door open for you." And you'll never believe who it was.
No.
It was Lester Holt.
Oh, okay.
Lester Holt held the door open for me. I was so
You had him trained early.
I was holy cow, it's Lester Holt. I'm like I don't know what to do. And I was like, "Thank you very much, Mr. Holt, for holding the door open. I admire the work that you do.
Yeah.
I'm here to get the status on my internship, and I haven't heard anything. Do you mind taking a copy of my resume?" He's like, "Sure, I don't know what I could do with it." I'm like, "I'm sure you could do something."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Maybe." And then the elevator doors closed, and then I made my way over to the central elevator banks where security is, and I was like, "Hi, I'm here to speak to Casey Conroy, the former internship coordinator." And they call back down. Casey says you have to make an appointment with her, and then she immediately emails me. She's like, "I like your chutzpah. I like how you're very bold in what you're doing.
Right.
But we'll get back to you."
Right.
And so, down on my luck, I'm just kind of like now walking back from 30 Rock, going like, "Shucks, I didn't get it. Oh well, better luck next time." So I'm staying at a friend's apartment, and it's now
Because you
Sunday
can't
night.
afford the hotels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Staying at a friend's apartment. And I highly recommend if anyone does go to New York or something like that and they have friends, stay with friends. Because it's really expensive.
Yes.
So applying on a Sunday, I was like, okay, let's see what I can do. And all of a sudden, WCBS 2 TV in New York is looking for an intern with hustle who likes to go out on breaking news. I'm like, this is me.
I love Raise your hand. That's me.
That's me. I apply, get a phone call on a Thursday night. "Hi, this is so-and-so with CBS and Human Resources. We got your resume. We'd love to talk to you tomorrow." So I go in on a Friday, and I got the internship. And that's what started...
You just got to be there, don't you?
You do. And that's what started this whole transition. So it was a fantastic internship. I was with the chief political correspondent the entire time.
Wow.
I remember doing countless stories with her. Meeting Mayor Bloomberg, meeting Ray Kelly, the former chief of police, the NYPD commissioner, also going into some really crazy interviews, and that's the one with Anthony Weiner during the whole scandal that he was
How
involved
many
in.
one-liners were you thinking of at the time?
It was very interesting to be in that room with him. On a one-on-one interview, like hours after that story broke.
Well, which story? Because he's had several.
He's had several, but no, this is the Sidney Leathers story. It was very fascinating, though, just to kind of be in that room with that person who did something so
crazy.
That's
a nice way of saying it.
So, fast forward a little bit, going through the fall, I get a phone call from NBC Universal. I get an internship with MSNBC. I was just awesome. Worked in the booking department. Was able to book people for shows and things of that nature. So I really learned a lot in those internships. And then fast forward to the Boston Marathon bombing.
Oh, yes.
I went to school right outside of Boston at Curry College in Milton, Massachusetts. And when that happened, we have a day off. It's basically like tax. You don't have school or anything like that. It's like a little local holiday there in Boston. And my roommate at the time, who worked for the feds, for the FBI, was like, "Hey, Pete, get down here, look at the TV." And he's getting ready to go out. He's like, "I got to go." And I'm like, "Oh, my gosh, what's going on?"
Yes.
He's like, "There's been reports of 2 explosions." He's like, I don't know. He's like, "I got to go." He leaves. I immediately call one of my friends. I'm like, get a studio camera from the studio. We're going downtown.
Wow.
So we meet within a half hour, we're already downtown.
Yeah.
after the second explosion, a half hour after, and going around talking to people, grabbing sound. It was surreal.
Yeah.
It was like,
I bet.
holy cow, this actually happened.
And I'm actually here.
And I'm actually here.
Yeah.
And so I see a random camera crew with a sound guy. And you don't see that really with local TV anymore unless they're doing kind of a bigger production.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, what network are you guys with? And they were like, NBC. And I was like, I'm a former MSNBC intern. I was like, I've got this great interview. And I showed it to them. And they're like, call Kerry Sanders.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. So I text him. He calls me. He's like, hi, I'm getting on a plane right now in Atlanta. I'll be there at 7 o'clock tonight. Pick me up at pick me up at Logan. I'm like, okay, I'll pick you up at Logan. So that full week I worked with NBC News.
Wow.
And the one story that really stuck out, they told me to find a local hero story. Going through the papers and things of that nature, came through one paper of a guy named Bruce Mendelson, and he and I still talk to this day.
Wow.
Bruce Mendelson, former Army vet, he's a college professor and everything. And he was told the local paper about a story about tying tourniquets around people's legs from the shrapnel that was in those pressure cooker bombs.
I remember reading those stories.
So I was like, okay, great. We're at the Jamaica Plains Firehouse. We're interviewing a firefighter, one of the first responders that had a picture of him on the front news. He was carrying that girl with that tourniquet around her leg. So he walks into the Jamaica Plains Firehouse, and he looks at me, and he looks at the firefighter being interviewed. He's like, that's the firefighter. And I looked at him, and the Miami bureau chief, Southeastern bureau chief for NBC News looks at me and looks at him. She's like, what do you mean that's the firefighter? And he's like, that's the firefighter that I handed the girl to. And so not knowing anything, I'm looking at everyone in the room, and I'm like, holy cow, we just found the gentleman who tied that tourniquet around that girl's leg that was photographed.
I think there's a story here.
There's a story here. And so Jimmy Pollard was the firefighter.
Yeah.
Bruce Mendelson was, and so, I mean, it kind of turned into a very emotional day.
Oh, I'll bet.
And then we were able to connect all three of them together.
Yeah.
And then going back, I went back to CBS for an internship that summer, and then the fall, I just mainly stayed focused on my studies, finishing my capstone project, and my capstone project was about how social media would play a role in elections, and I picked Twitter as it would be the #1 platform on how candidates would use to get the message out to the people. So,
and how social media, in so many ways, take over broadcast TV.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, and I want to talk about that. We're going to take a quick break, but in sitting down with Neil, when I sold at KHQ, I would sell tonight's 6 o'clock news for $350 to $450, and we reached 25 to 30,000. Do you know how many watched tonight?
I have no
Maybe 9,000.
Wow.
That's what's happened to broadcast. Now, fortunately, you guys are still #1 in town. We rival #2 and #3 in terms of views. And as Neil says, you guys are the future. We don't exactly know what the future of broadcast is, especially for a small station that's locally owned compared to everyone's being bought out by everybody these days. And there's that power of, if I do a story, it can air on 50 stations, and the cost is a lot less by doing that. And you guys are pumping out stories all the time.
Yes.
And not taking really from other places.
No.
You're doing the local stuff with a local team too. And I give KHQ a lot of credit for that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Peter Maxwell and some other stories right after this.
I'm Nikki Butler, and I'm a regional manager for STCU. My lunch buddy is Nicole.
I'm Brandy Schloss. I'm a regional manager at STCU. My lunch buddy is Angelina. She's grown up with me. I've grown up with her. To see her graduate will be a lot of fun.
Brandy and I have been lunch buddies since the girls were in 2nd grade. It's great that STCU provides me with the opportunity to be part of Reach for the Future. We are committed to the children. We're committed to our community. I'm Nikki.
I'm Brandy.
And STCU is here for good.
Well, welcome back. Peter Maxwell from KHQ is here. And what is your official title down there?
I'm reporter /
Because I know they give out titles instead of money.
reporter / MMJ.
MMJ.
So I'm multimedia journalist.
Okay.
So I'm out there I'm writing, I'm going out, shooting the video by myself, I'm editing by myself. And it's a skill set that we used to turn 2 stories a day as reporters.
Yes.
By ourselves.
Right.
And now we've kind of like night side. I turn 1, but if I have to turn 2, I can turn 2, knowing that I can.
Yes.
It makes me feel very comfortable knowing that I can do that.
Yeah.
But kind of going back to my internship, so
Yes.
CBS and the
So you're in a good position now,
very
aren't
good.
you? You own it, don't you?
But no, so went to CBS. So then I took that fall semester to focus on my studies, and then right out of school I worked for Fox News Channel in New York City, working the overnight desk.
Okay.
Mainly focusing on monitoring international and national news
Right.
that's been developing overnight. So I was working during the Ferguson riots. I was working during the Charlotte riots. I was working during when ISIS had a caliphate in the Middle East. So I'm very well versed in what is happening overseas.
Now, is that the Fox News Network or is that the Fox station?
No, it's Fox News Network.
Okay.
And the one night I was working when we would monitor ISIS accounts, Twitter accounts.
Okay.
And all of a sudden started seeing a hashtag RIP Kasich. Peter Kasich, the former Marine veteran that went over to be a first responder or someone who would render aid, medic,
Right.
over in Syria. He started, I click on this link, just starts playing a video. And so I'm like, okay, I know exactly what this is. This is the same propaganda that was used in the prior videos. I just fast forwarded to the very end and saw what happened, and just kind of was like, wow, this is real.
Yes.
Looked at my coworker and I said, we've got big breaking.
Yes.
And she's like, what? I was like, well, Kasich has, sadly, he's been beheaded. We need to get the producers for Fox and Friends Weekend on this right now.
Right.
So I shot an email over. She didn't respond. Like 5 minutes go by. I sprint down the hallway. I'm like, hey, we got breaking.
Yeah.
We're confirming this right now. They led with it. They beat CNN by 12 minutes.
Right.
And that was because of the quick actions of our desk and what we decided to go with and what we knew what was actually factual at that time.
So you earned your pay that night.
Definitely. And
So
then,
now how long after that did you stay? Because you're the night guy.
So I worked from 11 p.m. to 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
5 days a week. And then I did that for a year. I burned out.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I burned out.
Yeah.
I left and then went to grad school down in Florida.
Okay.
Where I worked for two online publications. One was the College Fix. I was covering freedom of speech issues on college campuses. And then Red Alert Politics, covering politics from a millennial's perspective, just going out, getting man-on-street interviews,
Yes.
just talking with people, just asking just general questions with no bias at all.
Right.
Just like, hey, what do you think about this?
Right.
And then I would make videos and then post them on the internet and stuff like that. And through both of those jobs as well, I've made connections within the country and
Yes.
the world, for that matter, of just talking to people.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do, is just converse and have a conversation.
Well,
and then,
because you're so limited for your package in the news at night. Yeah.
about 1:30 to 2 minutes.
Oh, that long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A little longer. But so then after I finished grad school, I got my master's degree in a year. I got my master's degree in digital media studies and broadcasting. Did that in a year. Graduated with 3.3. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
And then started to apply for jobs. And
You're
then,
just showing off,
and then
I know. Yeah.
KHQ popped up, and
Yeah.
so then I flew out here, knowing very little about Spokane. All I knew was that Gonzaga basketball was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was located in Spokane, Washington, and
Right.
came here and just was like, wow, this is a gorgeous place.
Now, how long have you been here?
3 years. Can you
3.
believe it?
Oh, yeah.
3.
Yeah, you usually kick out the bad ones right away, so you must have something going for you. I'm kidding. Yeah, and I don't know most of the reporters today, but I know the Leslie Lowe's, I know the Sean Owsley's and some of those for when I was there in sales. But I was in sales. And sales is upstairs, and that's just those salespeople upstairs. You know, the joke was, Peter, that half of us up there had done radio or some TV and could do it. I don't know how many of the news people downstairs could go out and sell. Okay, that's takes those cold calling things are different than going up and asking a question where you're really in charge as a reporter. You know,
Definitely.
maybe even intimidating at times, depending on the story and so forth. I got to ask you, are you having fun?
I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's honestly one of the most fulfilling jobs.
Really?
Period.
Yeah.
You get to go out. You get to make a difference in the community.
Yeah.
You get to talk to people.
Yeah.
You get to sit down with city leaders. You get to sit down with prosecutors. You get to sit down with the sheriffs. You get to sit down with the police chiefs, PIOs. You get to talk to them and get to know them, not only as a public figure, but also as a person.
Yes.
And that's what I love about this job, is the ability to have fun, but also be very serious in what I do.
Yeah, and I think that's important as somebody who's much more ancient than you in having a number of jobs and careers over the years. When I did retire a few years back, my wife asked me, had I enjoyed the various careers and so forth, and I had to answer absolutely affirmatively, and the times I didn't, I fired them and moved on to something else. Okay, and because life, we only get one chance at this, and we've got to have some fun. In fact, that's kind of the mantra here, is let's not always be totally serious. I want my guests when they leave, and this has been true for what we've done here and when we did it on the radio for a while, most of them will get up and say, that was fun, I enjoyed that. That's the best thing I can hear.
It is.
Because they're going to tell other people and so forth. And I love it. And you're right, I get to meet people. Fortunately, I was in a position over the years to know a lot of the city leaders and so forth. And Paul Reed at the Journal of Business said when we first started, and I know we had maybe 20 people that would listen to us live if we were lucky, right? And it was just audio at the time. He said, I don't know how you get the people you get. And it was from 30-some years of being very active in the community. I could call up the people that you call now that will take your call, or they'll give it to somebody to avoid you. And they would honor me by coming on, knowing that I'm going to help Kent build a station. And so we've really appreciated that. What's, other than talking with people, what's a memorable story that you can think of that you really enjoyed?
In Spokane?
In Spokane.
Oh,
yeah,
in Spokane.
Because we got to come back to Spokane. You've done the things in Chicago and so forth, you know.
There's several.
Okay.
I think the one that really sticks out is the Rachel Dolezal story.
Oh, gosh, yes.
I'll never forget that day. I was out filming a story on STA bus advertisements about saying, like, please shower, little signs on the side of the buses. I was like, okay, like, this is an interesting story. And I remember I'm out by myself just being an MMJ.
Okay.
It's May, the sun's out, it's kind of hot.
Yeah.
I'm wearing pants, dress shirt, tie, carrying 50 pounds of equipment. And I just remember getting a no-caller ID off my phone, and I kind of was like, hello? And they're like, we know you, you don't know us. I'm like, okay, like, who is this? I'm not going to say, because I protect my sources. They gave me a crime report number, and went to the courthouse.
Yeah.
Looked up the court number, looked at the court case, looked at the state of Washington versus Nkechi Diallo, a.k.a. in parentheses, Rachel Dolezal.
Boom.
And I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
So I'm like going through the court docs and everything, and I'll never forget going up and having to do that cold door knock. And confronting her about that. That is probably one of the most memorable stories in terms of.
Did you get the interview with her?
No, never. She actually blocked me on Twitter.
Yeah.
But that was one of the most. I think that was my biggest story here in Spokane for me, just as a personal, as a reporter. But I've done countless jailhouse interviews with people who have allegedly been.
I've got to ask,
charged.
when you go and do that, why do people tell you things that's going to go against them in court? Do you sit there and go, do you realize what you're saying, Mr. or Mrs. Inmate?
I just kind of, I mean, in my head, I'm just kind of like, okay, I wonder why they want to actually sit down and share this.
Right. But then say things that counter what their attorney's going to say in a court.
Right.
I mean, they kind of screwed themselves. You know what I mean?
A little bit,
Yeah, and you kind of don't you just go, oh my gosh, do you realize what you're saying?
Yeah, sometimes I do, but sometimes I just let them talk. I just let them talk.
It's not your responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other story that really sticks out, and her trial date's coming up, is Christina Danforth from Post Falls, the woman who hired a hitman to kill her boyfriend. That was a jailhouse interview that was very interesting. Just because of how everything kind of just unfolded and the backstory and how everything on the federal level and the Eastern District Courts of Washington and then Idaho was really sealed for a while. So we've been monitoring that case very closely. And so that's coming up on March 4th, and that's going to be at 1:30. I think it's going to be in the Kootenai County Court.
So I can guess where you're going to be.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely.
So we won't schedule another one of these at 1:30 on.
Exactly. But no, those are those are a couple of the stories. But the one story that I really loved, and still to this day get a tear in my eye about, was a story about a Spokane Valley boy who sent out a bunch of birthday invitations, and no one showed up except for like one person. And the Spokane Valley Fire Department came and saved the day. And that was honestly one of my favorite stories.
Because Spokane, when it knows about these things, steps up.
They come together.
I mean, have you seen that in any other? Would you see that in a New York or somewhere like that? Probably not very often.
But I mean, in smaller suburbs, yes, but not as a city.
So what's next for you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to
news director, station manager, take over Neil's job.
If Neil's watching, definitely. I mean. Probably not.
Yeah, remember it was Kent that brought this up, not me. Okay, is what you're thinking.
I'm very comfortable where I'm at right now. But I don't know. I mean,
do you want to be an anchor at some point?
I would love to be an anchor at some point, but I love just kind of going out into the community and just talking with people. So we'll see wherever this career train takes me.
Yeah. But you're having fun.
I'm having a lot of fun. It's the best feeling to go home from work knowing that it's like, wow, I had a great day today. This is a lot of fun. Even though the job at sometimes during the day is extremely stressful, making those deadlines, and it's just kind of like, I kind of describe it as being in college permanently and always having like, oh gosh, I didn't do that 12-page essay, and it's always last minute.
And it's due in an hour.
Exactly. So I work well under pressure. I enjoy it. And knowing that I can make a difference in the community.
Well, you'll appreciate this. After your interview, I have 4 shows to do. I'll be sitting in this chair pretty much for 4 hours today. Last time I did it for 2.5 hours, they almost had to help me get out of the chair. That's how old I am. But anyway, Peter or Pete? I've been calling you
Peter.
Peter, okay.
Or Pete.
Okay, or Hey You.
Oh, that too.
The guy on TV. Will you come back sometime?
Yeah, definitely.
And bring a story with you.
Okay.
I know it's okay with Neil, so we don't have to ask anybody in the newsroom and all that. I've appreciated getting to know you. I enjoy watching your reporting. I'm glad you're shaving again after November. Well, you and a couple of guys, I'm going, oh my God, when is it going to be over?
There's a story behind that. My brother was diagnosed with stage 3 testicular cancer at the end of October. And to show solidarity with him and to kind of bring awareness to men's health during the month of November, which we call Movember. I grew that mustache to strike up a conversation and to raise some money through Movember. Raised about $350 for men's health, prostate cancer, suicide awareness, and testicular cancer. So, but he is trucking through it.
Good.
He had his last full week of chemo last week. He's got 2 more chemo appointments. His last day is chemo is on the 29th of this month. So we're all rooting for him.
Absolutely. And, now, where is he?
He's at the University of Michigan. Currently at their medical center, but he is currently at home in Grosse Pointe with my parents. So, but he's trucking through it. He's going to make a full recovery, and we've all been pulling for him.
Absolutely, we all pull for it. We've all got too many relatives and close friends that have gone through the cancer stuff.
It's. But
we're going to get there one of these days. We're there.
Exactly.
It's just
so. But then he's got 6 to 8 weeks off, and then they'll go in, and then they'll remove it. So
keep me posted.
I will definitely.
Okay, absolutely. Pete.
Yep.
Peter. PT, whatever you want to be
Kent,
called. Right?
Definitely. It's all good.
I've enjoyed meeting you. We've had to postpone this a couple times.
We've had.
Because of your schedule.
Yeah.
They keep messing it up.
Well, sometimes
when you're in charge of your own schedule, I can control.
But when duty calls, you got to go.
Oh, I think probably would be wise for you, or you'd be looking maybe for your next job or something. Say hi to some of the folks at KHQ.
Will do.
Love the station, watch it all the time, and not because of just Neil, but because I did work there, and it's got a good group of people telling some good stories and so forth. So keep up the job.
Will do. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for watching Business Talks. You learned a little bit about Peter and the business of TV these days. See you next time on Business Talks. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksMedia.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Business Talks is brought to you in part by STCU. Hear this program again on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,